Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Atlantic Bushcraft Adventures. Tonight, episode 73, and we are going to be talking about hygiene in the woods. It's one of those topics that a lot of people that are new to going in the woods, at least, tend to overlook a little bit, and those that frequent the woods learn the value in really quickly. Is that, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean.
All right, so why don't you lead us in there, Ben, where we are a little later starting. I am going to do our advertising now.
Yeah, so I guess it's like you said, it's something a lot of people, I guess, when you initially get into it, you almost think, oh, it's okay. I'm only going to be in the woods for a day or two, and no one else is going to smell me, so it's not a big deal. I'll get cleaned up when I get out. But the real problem comes, at least for a lot of people, is if you don't get the salts and the sweat and all that sort of cleaned off you run a heightened risk of infection, of getting sore, uh, basically rashes and stuff. And it happens pretty quick. And once it does, it can make you pretty miserable. Um, and I think that's a big part of it. It's not so much about necessarily smelling good or scent free, but just being properly healthy. And it extends to sort of all aspects, everything from brushing your teeth to, you know, cleaning all the sensitive bits and stuff. And for some people, I'm sure like it's easier and harder. If people with longer hair, I'm not going to pick on guys or girls, trying to keep that neat and tidy kind of help you when you come to leaving. I mean, me and Robert generally have pretty short hair, so it's been less of a problem. Pick a few twigs out of her hair and you're good to go.
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, I think that's the gist of it. And the trick is you have limited resources. You're not going to have hot and cold running water necessarily. You're not going to want to be dragging 17 face cloths, a couple of big towels, all this other stuff. So you're trying to do it in kind of your minimalist, not taking up your whole pack just to your hygiene products. But you do need to sort of come up with a process, a little hygiene. A lot of people use a hygiene pouch, I guess, just a small. Um, I've seen pencil cases used in the past, actually, just something that they can put few key pieces of equipment into. Um, and now I guess we'll talk a little bit about some of the our go-tos. I do know we share one.
And I know the one you're going for, and this is the common one that I recommend to everybody going out because it's inexpensive, it's easy to carry, and it serves a magnitude of uses. If that makes sense, like
Oh yeah,
it's not just for the obvious; it can be used for a lot more than the obvious.
yeah.
So why don't you show them there, Ben?
So the one I have here is the Kirkland baby wipes. Started buying these when we had babies, and every now and then the wife actually talks about not buying them anymore just because the kids are grown up, and I get kind of mad at her and say, no, we got to keep buying these. But they are great. I mean, they're you say a multitude of uses. You can use these to clean well your entire body to start with, but you can also like I've used it to help wipe down utensils in a pinch, my equipment, all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty good. Now I don't take this big bag in with me, not unless the whole family was going for like
Hmm.
almost a week. I take probably 3 to 5 per day minimum, probably usually about five, and in a couple of spares over the top of what I expect to use. So that gives you enough to basically clean up in the morning, clean up at night, and then in the middle of the day, if you want to freshen up anywhere you can. How much do you take?
I'm much the same. I'll grab a handful. I've never really actually thrown a number on it, but probably similar, 3 to 5 per day, and just put in a little Ziploc bag. And
Yes.
the wonderful thing about these is I take them even more than just camping. Like I have a full package of these in the ATV. I carry some in the car. I carry some in the truck. Like these can bail you out of a lot of situations. The obvious, of course, being the wipe, the body wipe part of it. But like Ben said, you can clean your utensils. I've used them to clean my windshield or inside my car if something is spilled. I've used it dried them out and used it as fire starter. Because if you do leave them out, they will dry up fairly. I'm not going to say fairly quickly, but they do dry up. I mean, you can literally take one that's damp, throw it in your pocket, and about an hour later, it's dry enough you can use it as an emergency tinder. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. Um, and yeah, if you get the ones for, I prefer. Okay, so I prefer the sensitive skin ones.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But the reason behind that is because they're scent free. And the big thing there is scent free because if you have them with the perfumes and the smells and stuff like that, you have the potential that they could put extra stuff on your skin um, that you might not like. Like if you are going to bring the ones with perfumes and stuff, I recommend at least trying one like on your arm at home, doing the old I can't remember what the name of the test is, but where you rub it on the inside of your arm to make sure you're not going to take a reaction to it. Because I have seen people take reactions to some wipes with perfumes and cleaners in it. Their body just didn't like it. They broke out in hives, and you don't want to find out that this does not kosher well with your body the first time you use it to clean up after going to the bathroom or something like that, because it is going to ruin your day. So
Right.
I prefer the sensitive skin ones because they have no perfumes in them, nothing like that. They're generally safe for all types of skins and they're no more expensive. Like you can buy a case of these for I think it's $30, and it comes with like 8 of these gigantic packages in it or something.
Right.
So much like Ben, when our oldest one got big enough she didn't need them anymore, we're still buying them because they just function so well. We used to use wet wipes, which are the exact same thing but at like 10 times the cost.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
So
it's
And the only other side one to that, I just showed Ben there a little bit, was if you want to try something that's more specialty, if you will, these are called cold shower, and literally all they are is a baby wipe, but they make them oversized, and actually I'll open the package just for this episode. I've been purposely not opening these forever, but for the sake of science, they're just a bigger wipe. They come out, apparently on the back it says not for clowns. That's an interesting thing. I have no idea why it says that, but anyway, same thing. Non-scented, no alcohol. These have a little bit of aloe vera menthol in them, and that's kind of why I was not really getting into them right away. Because once again, I try to go for that non-reactive type stuff. But the idea is that's a wipe that's going to be big enough. One wipe is supposed to give you a cold wash, or you're supposed to be able to kind of clean your entire body with one wipe is the idea behind them. There's several companies doing this now. I think the original one was man-sized wipes, and that company didn't hang around a whole long time because, as you can tell with the name, there was people that took perhaps a little
fence.
offense to it. So anyway, other companies have rolled in, and now they're very common. They're not super expensive, but they are still a specialty wipe, and they're going to be more expensive than baby wipes. And honestly, you just can't beat the baby wipes. They cover everything and they're dirt cheap. So
Yes.
it is my go-to for going into the woods. And I mean, even more so than soap and stuff like that, I have baby wipes because it will do all of those jobs.
Well, I mean, you use it to clean a baby's bum, and honestly, if you've cleaned a baby's bum, it's that's about as dirty as it gets. So
Good point.
if if you can clean your baby with it, it's pretty well safe for any of your body, and it's going to get most messes off. I mean, um, your tree sap and stuff may be a bit of a struggle. You may have to use some alternate means. I've used butter before to kind of soften up the spruce gum and stuff off your hands, right? But other than that, it's going to get most of it off. It's going to get the mud, the dirt, the stuff, and it's going to get you clean enough to have your meal, go to sleep, and be ready for what needs to come next. So it's pretty bulletproof. You mentioned, like this is I think both of our go to. I just packed for a trip I'm taking this weekend. I put big 12 to 15 in a bag. I'm going to be good for the weekend. No problems. Um, so that's a good method for that. The other things you can do, I mean, there are small bottles of hand sanitizer.
Hand
I often take
sanitizer was
that.
on my list as well, things I want to talk about. I mean, even before everything that's happening now, I always kind of took a little bottle of hand sanitizer, not only for the sanitizing your hands aspect, but you can use it to sanitize a needle or something if you ever had to do such. I mean, it's going to sting like heck, but you could use it to sanitize around a cut. I wouldn't recommend putting it right in the cut, but like around the area of a cut, it's going to be better than nothing.
Oh yeah,
Um, so yeah, and of course, fire starter. There's
of
alcohol
course.
in most hand sanitizers.
Yeah. Yes. No, I've used it for all those things. Also, I think it's great. The and the fact that you can get them in nice little like personal sized bottles. Um, they're pretty good if you want to save the bottles and put other things in them. I've put dish soap in these type of things, a little bit to hand soap. It's a good size. These a lot of these come in. They're meant for an on to go type thing, so it's a good little container. Gives you a few options, like I said, a little bit of dish soap or hand soap, a few little odds and ends you can put in them. So a great little thing. And you like this one here in my hand, it came from the Dollarama. We probably paid $1 for it.
That's the
So
thing. It's fairly inexpensive stuff, and it's good just to have in your back or in your backpack there. And Chris made a good point there too. He says you can use it to clean your knife after cutting a steak, or
yep.
disinfect and stuff like that. And the other thing he said, um, that we kind of skimmed over, but I'll jump back to just to kind of keep things flowing, was he was asking if there's any opinions on using handheld bidets versus wipes. And funny enough, um, Ben and I were
I'm
just
unfamiliar.
talking about this right before this episode, and I actually had one brought up. These are portable bidets or camping bidets, whatever you want to call them, and they just go on a water bottle. And I mean, they do serve a purpose. If you're going out for 3 days, would I recommend one? Probably not. If you're going out for like 2 weeks, and water is going to be limited and stuff like that, you may want to start thinking about throwing one of those in your bag just in case. You know what I mean? It's fairly inexpensive. I think they're $17. And if you need it, you're going to be happy to have it versus if you need it and don't have it. Uh, Without going too far into this, I have tried one before because I thought they were absolute foolishness, to be honest. And you know what? They do serve a purpose, especially if you have any if you start running into any problems in your backside, if you start developing like the old swamp pants, that's what we were talking about. Where honestly, like the weather we've been having, where it's humid and stuff like that, if you're not getting 100% clean, you can develop rashes and chafes and things like that. This will assist in keeping you cleaned out or cleaned off, I guess, not out so much. As well as in the winter, which is when it was recommended to me, going with a little more sensitive topic here, if you happen to, my wife just burst in. Uh, if you happen to get hemorrhoids, I mean, it's one of those things. Hopefully, it never happens while you're out in the bush. But if something happens and it does, become a problem, this will assist with that as well. And this is also good for our female companions and counterparts as well during their usual monthly business. It'll help them keep clean too. And that was the other reason it was recommended to me ages ago. So yeah, they do serve their purpose. They are great. They're just, for me, it's not my go-to, to be perfectly honest. Portable bidet. Yeah, so my wife walked in, she's giving me weird looks, but you know what I'm talking about. You've seen these. And you can see where I was talking about it for like you as a female, where it would come in handy and stuff like that. So there we go. So yeah, they do serve their purpose. It's not necessarily my go-to one, but I do know people that this is in their bag every single time they go out. And it's not like they use it every single time, but it's there in case they need it because they're like this big. They're like 2 or 3 inches long, and they fit in the top of a standard water bottle. You know what I mean? I wouldn't use the same water bottle for drinking and using this. I would dedicate a water bottle. That's just me, but you never know in a pinch. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that, Chris. I hope that answered your questions a little bit. And it was just kind of funny because we had talked about this right before we started up. So anyway, that's my spiel on bidets. And now I feel
Yeah,
vindicated.
an interesting topic to be sure. I said I'm not overly familiar with those, but in a pinch, for sure, something like that. I mean, I guess if you just had the water bottle and couple of holes cut in the top, but you could give yourself a pretty good spray.
It
But
doesn't
it's
work
going to
as
be
good as you think, because that's what I said. That's how I got into using one of these things. So I'm like, no, no,
you're not
no, just
going
take
to
your water ball and jam some holes in it. It'll be the same thing. It's not.
well, not to say no, you're not going to get as good directional control and stuff for sure. But you know, if you're stuck, you're stuck, I
Yeah,
guess.
and that's the thing. It's still better than nothing. And there's another use this goes with, but we're not going to talk about it on the show, but I will talk to you about it after the show, Ben, because I don't want to be giving out shady information. Because to me, this is shady information. And it
I
has
always
to
hope.
do with dealing with potentially contaminated water. And you may be able to see where I'm going with this.
Oh,
Anyway,
yes.
moving on.
um, yeah. So from there, though, like I mean, there is the good old face cloth and soap. I know I've done this, and I think it's not a bad idea. It's just not like I take the wipes and stuff over it. Is just saved a little bits of soap. You know, when the soap gets kind of thin, and you save those. They're perfect for taking to camping. You put a couple in a bag, and a
You
face
want to
cloth.
join us?
Usually leave them.
Nah. Trying to talk Melissa into joining us, but she's just going to work off to the side, apparently.
That's what my wife's doing. But yeah, just take a few of those small soap, or just shave some off of it of a full soap. Put it in a Ziploc with a couple of face cloths. Um, it does depend on having a decently clean water supply, and or the ability to boil any water you find. Just cleaning yourself with, uh, for lack of a better word, stagnant or unknown water may actually put yourself at more risk. If it's already full of bacterias and contaminants, then you could be just making an already bad situation much, much worse. So take that precaution. I mean, soap's obviously going to help, but if you can get the water as clean as possible, that would be great also. So just a thought. That's something you kind of avoid with the wipes. It's kind of working with a known condition.
Yeah, and they
Uh,
come pre-moistened, so it eliminates the need for a potential water source as well, or a fresher
yeah,
water source. Although, if you're going in the woods, you should always have some sort of water source somewhat known to you. Um, Along the lines of the soap, there actually, when she comes back, Troy, I'll tell her you're here and that you're edging her on. Something Melissa and I were use, and we stumbled upon these. We got them from the dollar store originally, I think, or Canadian Tire. I'm not 100% sure. And I have it pulled up here. It's the Coleman Camp Soap Sheets. And it's
yeah,
literally like somebody took a vegetable peeler and peeled off these little flakes of soap, which you can do as well. I've seen that recommended and people do that. But these things were amazing for what they were. Thing was, we didn't pay $22.40 for them. We paid like less than $2 when we got them. So I would
yeah.
not recommend these at $22.40. They're nice, they're convenient, they're not $22.40 convenient. So what we actually ended up doing was we got these ones, and we're gonna give them a go during our outing. This was $20, but at least it gives us 4 packs of them, and there's 100 sheets per pack versus 50 sheets per pack. So to me, it's still kind of overpaying, but I've spent $20 on less. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it
no, I think that's a great idea. It kind of reminds me, those Listerine
that's
strips.
exactly what they it's like. It's like the little tiny sheets, and they are just when we had them and we paid $2 for them, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Ben, but when we had them, we used them for not only washing our hands and face and stuff like that, because one sheet or one piece or whatever way you want to look at it gave you enough to get your face cloth soapy. And then you could
Yeah,
wash your hands, your arms, your face, neck. You could actually really get cleaned up with it. But the benefit was one sheet or one piece also gave you enough soap that you could wash like fresh socks and underwear, or a t-shirt, or a pair of shorts. If you had pants, you might need a couple of them, to be fair. But a
yeah.
small piece of clothing, one of these worked for great. And that's kind of where I seen it. If you're going on long adventures, you can use these to kind of not only keep yourself clean, but potentially keep some of your clothing clean, if you had the conditions, of course, and it might lighten the amount of stuff you have to take in. So kind of a double benefit there, and that's what we're hoping for.
Well, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, no, I like that. It's that isn't too bad of a price. What do you say, $15 there, or $20 for
It's
four
$20
packs? Five.
and 400 sheets. There's 100 sheets per package. As where the Coleman ones were 22 something, 22.40 I think, and it was one package with 50 sheets.
So you're talking like 5 cents a sheet.
Yeah, thereabouts.
That's that's not unreasonable by any means.
So like I said, they're not bad. Like we
Yeah,
liked them, and that's why we're gonna try and go back after them. And like I said, coupled with a face cloth and some fresh moving water, you're gonna have a good time.
yeah, yeah.
Troy's telling you over
No.
here.
Yeah, so that's your cleaning your skin, and we've captured clothing and stuff, and that's a big thing. If your clothing gets wet, damp, and dirty, it's only a matter of time before it starts to chafe. We've talked before on the show. If you got chafing issues, if you're not clean and dry and comfortable, then it can be a big problem. I have in a first aid kit. I don't necessarily have it now, but I've actually carried a little bit of cornstarch before. And that's really good. If you do have an area that's chafing and rubbing, you can put a bit of cornstarch on. It helps alleviate it, and it'll help prevent further chafing. Uh, you can put it, in between your thighs. If you have a rip in a clothing, it seems to really agitate.
Hmm.
Something like that can really help. I've seen people under the armpits, shoulders, groin area, and feet are especially bad. And you know yourself, once you have that kind of, it becomes an all-encompassing pain, as in it's all you can think of, and it ruins the trip. So it's something. It's along the hygiene idea. I mean, I guess years ago it might have been talcum powder. They kind of gotten away from that talc lung and all that. I think it's even hard to find baby powder these days.
Yeah,
But
it's not as common anymore. You can still get it at like the Great Canadian Dollar stores and stuff, but I think the
shady.
cornstarch will probably be the better bet, like you said. Um,
Um, the other thing I had, and I did show you earlier, and I think you found some examples of it. These little tiny disposable toothbrushes. I mean, you can carry your own toothbrush. I've heard of people who dehydrate toothpaste.
okay, hold on. We're modifying some stuff here, ladies and gentlemen.
Ugh.
All right, we should be able to go like this. Anybody let me know if you're having some feedback issues there, but we should be good to go. You still hear us there, Ben?
Oh yeah.
Over here.
So I say I've seen guys who take the toothpaste, put a little drop on like a piece of wax paper. Say 2 to 3 for every day, or 4 if you're so inclined. And you just leave them there for 4 or 5 days, and they shrink up to next to nothing. You can just put it in your mouth, brush your teeth with it in there. So that little bit of toothpaste, just like a pea-sized piece, dries down to even smaller, and you can throw them in a little Ziploc bag or a little container and pop one out like a Tic Tac almost, and use it to help brush your teeth. It's common and easy thing to do.
Can't hear Ben. Can't hear Ben. Hold on. We can fix that, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, say something there now, Ben.
Hello. Can
Oh,
you hear me now?
I think so. I think I just had to refresh the up and down to it. So, can you hear Ben there now, Troy? Anyone? Hello? Oh, here we go. Let's try going with this. Say something now, Ben.
Something.
Okay.
Now.
All my bars are moving, so somebody is going to hear something at some point here.
Oh, perfect. Anyways, what I was talking about, in case everyone missed it, was just taking toothpaste, put like a pea-sized amount on like a piece of wax paper, one for every time you plan on brushing your teeth, and you just leave it for a few days, and it'll dry up to a smaller, hard little ball, which you can dispense on an as required basis, and just use a regular toothbrush. Just a quick little method. We also kind of mentioned earlier the Listerine strips, sort of like your soap strips. Have you used those?
Um, if I can still find the Listerine packages, Will take them from time to time, but you know what? It's not that common for me to find those anymore. Maybe Walmart and places like that, like the specialty stores, but you used to be able to find them at Sobeys and like gas stations and stuff like that. But now they're almost non-existent. Troy said hi.
Yeah, I know. Maybe they
Hi,
stopped
Troy.
making them.
And maybe they did. I don't know. But those Listerine packs used to be great because in a pinch,
Hmm.
they would actually, at least keep your mouth somewhat fresh.
Yeah,
They actually had an antibacterial rating, which was something that not a lot of portable products have. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I found them good the few times I used them. I don't use them often, but it's a great alternative when you can't get like a full proper brushing and you don't want to carry a bottle.
Hmm.
Even those travel size bottles of mouthwash add up pretty quickly. What do you get? Like probably 6 ounces in one at best. So
Yeah, you're looking at like what, 6 uses? Or how much
maybe
do you use? Half use? 30 mils. 30 mils is an ounce, so 6 uses, technically.
it's used. Yeah. So some of them are probably smaller than that. Maybe like yeah.
Yeah.
So just the options there. Do you have any hints
You've kind of
on
been
that
lurking
area?
in the side there listening. Is there anything that we.
I honestly am not sure where you're
Okay, so
at.
how about we do
Heath.
this? We've talked about the how. Why don't we talk a little bit about the why and some of the things to watch for potentially with hygiene in the woods? That was the other thing I had on my docket here. We talked about some of the products you can use to keep yourself clean. And I mean, ultimately in the woods, clean is good to an extent. There is some pros and cons to different products and things like that. Now, a product I don't take into the woods is deodorant. Now, I don't know about
No.
yourself, Ben, but for anybody out there like rolling their eyes, wondering why you don't take deodorant, it attracts bugs, um, and potentially it can actually lead to chafing. Believe it or not, if you can get past the feeling of it, because it does feel funky the first day you go without deodorant for a little while, but if you can get past it, it will lead to less chafing, less bugs. Like anything with perfumes in it, strong smelling, sweet smells, things like that, you're going to be a bug magnet. You know what I mean? So I try to avoid anything like that, like aftershaves, deodorants, anything. If you can find a deodorant that's maybe completely odorless and an antiperspirant, you might be all right. I just haven't gone that far into it.
That's what I pack. I take an unscented antiperspirant spray because it's not like it doesn't cake on to lead to that like chafing situation. But it also keeps you from stanking.
Yeah, and I guess, but I mean, humans are amazing
Yeah, it's
that
true.
are ovary. What's nose? Ovary. Oval.
I
Anyway,
don't
your
know what you're
nose
talking
sense. There's a scientific
Oil
word
pack.
for it. Your nose sense
about.
will get used to smells. And even if you're other people, you will actually become accustomed to each other's smell to the point where you won't stink to each other, especially if you're all doing the same thing. Well, it's
Is
it's a
that true,
fact. The
Mel?
problem is when you come back to society, you're gonna stink. Everybody's gonna look at you like, "Whoa, what the heck?" So that's why the first thing most people do when they get back home is they don't go to the bar; they go get a shower. Because now that you're home, you have all the conveniences. It's good to wash up. But the big thing in the woods, for me, and I think Ben is going to agree with me 100% because we've had good conversations about this before, is hygiene is super important in a couple major areas of your body. And to me, the number one spot is your feet. Because if your feet go down, you can't get out. You know what I mean? And it's real easy for your feet to get skunky, if you will, if you're wearing the same pair of socks and you're sweating in the boots. Everybody has had that experience where you wore your socks maybe just a little too long and they started getting like funky. Not smelly, but funky. Like they might actually be crunchy to an extent. I have worked on fires and come off them, and I've thrown socks away because I was just like, nope, those are done. But
That's
I
it.
mean, it's
Yeah.
real simple to go past that point, and now all of a sudden you have problems with your feet. Like if your feet get wet and there's mildewy and stuff going on in there, you can get trench foot, which I'm sure you're familiar with, Ben.
Not personally.
Well, no, but I mean, you were
But
in the
yeah, I
militia
am.
once upon a time, and I mean, they must hark that 100% of the time.
They, they really do push feet care and maintenance, and we often like. I think almost every one of our kit bags contained a small thing of foot powder. We really pushed wearing wool socks. If some people who couldn't handle wool socks would wear a sports sock underneath the wool sock, but the wool sock was fairly important for sort of wicking away the moisture, keeping your feet clean, hygienic. We would change our socks at least once a day. Um, Sometimes more, especially if your feet got wet or dirty during the day, you would definitely change it. But you wouldn't wear the same pair of socks 2 days in a row. You just wouldn't do that. And these were all things of keeping your feet in good condition, good repair. And yes, if you don't, and your feet start to get galled up or cracking or numerous other things that can happen to your feet, or your feet stay soaked for extended periods of time. You said trench foot. I think your skin can actually start falling off. All kinds of problems, and it come to weather conditions. If you got frostbite in your feet, that's another mess of things. So keeping your feet clean and dry is of the utmost importance for sure. I would probably put the second area that I concentrate on, I would call like the groin area. There's some pretty bad chafing and stuff that can happen there. Um, and then from there, I guess it's a bit less direct, where you want to pay attention. It may be more personal.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you. Feet number one for me. Groin and nether regions would be second because nothing can screw up your day worse after your feet going than what's the correct term for it? Not even jock itch, but once again, you can get like a mildewy, and not to get too graphic here, it's like a mildewy, pasty slime that'll build anywhere where your skin chafes together. And it'll lead to some serious rashes. You can actually get skin infections and skin fungus out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we talk about doing the hygiene thing, because if you neglect this stuff, it doesn't take long for it to break down. I suppose on
Nobody wants a fungal infection out in the woods. Let's
No.
just be real. Like, it's gonna happen if you don't take care of it, and you don't want to deal with it if it happens.
and I guess for you ladies, like
Yeah.
under the breast
Yeah, I
area
would
would be
say
another
under the
big one.
boobies. Yeah, that's probably the next spot for us for sure. And that's just wearing proper support and sweat control. To be honest, there isn't much else you can do. You can do like some powder stuff. Um, that's about it. Just making sure you stay like clean. Uh, that's about it,
Yeah,
really.
it's the same thing
Yeah.
as the rest of your body, just to be aware of. We talked a little bit about hair. Now, neither Ben nor I have long hair, so we couldn't attribute a
Mm.
whole lot of experience here. But we assume that longer hair could potentially lead to more problems in the woods as well, hygiene wise.
Yeah, I mean, number one, probably anytime you see me in the woods, my hair will be braided. It just keeps it up and out of the way, keeps it from getting twigs and stuff stuck in it. That's kind of like my number one thing. And then I definitely do bring at least a shampoo with me when I go. Whether it's the flake or it's just a little small travel size bottle, either or. We usually always camp around some kind of running water, so I don't mind dipping my head in the morning or in the evening before bed. Um, yeah, I would say that's about it. Like, honestly, just keep it up and back and keep it clean, and you'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
more?
yeah, yeah.
I was going to say, all we can go
That's pretty
through.
much all there is, I guess.
I mean, and for us guys, if you got a longer beard, some of the same things apply. I remember
Yeah.
when my beard was longer, you see it in some
So
of the
long.
pictures and stuff. Like, I had a good 4 or 5 inch long beard. And it started causing some issues when I was out in the woods a few
Mhm.
days. I
Well,
really
I
had to
think
get in there
beard could be worse.
well, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to really get in and scrub it because the oils and stuff build up under it, and your skin will start breaking out underneath it, and it starts just getting uncomfortable. It's
And
not
food
good.
can get into it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you don't.
Yeah.
we were ground camping. We weren't doing. You've never come ham and camping with me, so yeah, we were ground camping, and I remember picking stuff out of my beard.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. All things to think about. Uh, and I guess I'm kind of going to jump into another topic here, but still on hygiene. A good way of trying to keep things cleaner for yourself is having a set of clothing specifically for sleeping. and I think this is something both Ben and I do. You do as well.
Yeah.
We all kind of have our own sleepwear, which it's dedicated solely to sleeping, and that one keeps all your grime and stuff that you can't get off from getting into your sleeping bags and things like that, because they can be a bugger to clean. Because you can't really throw them in the washer. A lot of the down ones and stuff like that would clump together. The synthetic ones, they tell you not to wash them.
Just going through this with a new sleeping bag purchase and whether or not to purchase the liner at the same time. So yeah.
But yeah, or a liner. That's another good one too, or in conjunction of both. And just having that dedicated sleepwear, and it works vice versa. If your sleeping bag's starting to get a little skanky, keeps it from coming back on you. But hopefully it's not getting too bad, because you want to keep that stuff kind of clean. But I mean, generally, I know when we were camping, Ben, both of us kind of washed up before we went to bed.
Yep.
Just got the day-to-day grime off us. I mean, we may not break into a full-out bath or shower, because generally you don't have that in the woods. But at least a kind of face cloth wipe down of all the major exposed areas and all the high sweat areas, if you will. And then you kind of jump into your sleep clothes and you slide into the sleeping bag and off you go. Generally, I don't wear my sleep clothes until I'm literally getting ready to go to bed. That way I'm not wandering around, getting crap on it, which gets into the sleeping bag and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm more or less the same. I mean, at times like this time of year, sleep clothes is a quite a bit lighter.
Yeah.
And I'm probably more inclined towards just the liner and a good pair of underwear type deal. Because like right now, I mean, I had the air conditioning running until a few minutes ago, and I'm sweating here now. Out in the
Yeah.
woods, it's probably not a hell of a lot better right now. So this time you don't want to just sweat. You want to try and sleep as cool and as comfortable as possible. So you do want to judge that accordingly. In the winter, really, the more warmth I can get, the better. We almost froze even in the spring, and getting, like you say, like a bath at that time. Like the last thing I was doing was jumping that river that day.
No, I can remember taking my face cloth, wetting it, putting it in a baggie, and putting it in my pocket so it would warm up a little bit. But
Right. So
Who's this?
who's over here? So NS Yak Fisher Outdoors. That's Gary. So always have a sleep set. Yeah, wool for the cooler months.
Yeah.
I did before
I
that.
honestly, my sleep is usually either light months, it's like underpants situation, or for the colder ones, it's just thermal underwear. Honestly, is my
yeah,
go to, the full on big, like
Yeah, we recently bought new.
shirt and pants and wool socks and even a toque, of course, like the whole thing. But yeah.
yeah, I'm actually about the same in the winter. I have a good set of thermals. I take two pairs, one pair of thermals that I keep on during the day, and then I switch to the other pair at night. Go into my sleeping bag, usually a liner. Again, just because I'm looking for anything to add to that warmth and make it easier to keep the bag uh, clean when I get home. So that works out pretty good for me. Um,
And I guess that's kind of the secret to around sleeping hygiene, if you will, is don't wear your clothes into your sleeping bag, because one, it's going to trap all that crap that you had all day against you, and two, it's going to get in your sleeping bag and make it miserable the next time you go to use it.
and
Uh,
I think right here too, we've kind of hit on something. Is you do want to sleep in a situation where you're not sweating.
mm,
I mean, year round, you don't really want to be sweating in your sleeping bag any more than you absolutely have to. So, I mean, in the winter, if you're overly hot and you sweat, then you're probably going to freeze later when that sleeping bag gets damp. And in the summer months, if you're sweating in there, you're just not going to be comfortable. And plus, it's something else to try and clean out of your sleeping bag. It gets into your insulation, be it down or synthetic or whatever you're using. That's just that much more cleaning. It's much more maintenance to your bag, and it means it's going to eventually get thrown out at an earlier time frame, so you won't get the longevity out of it.
and that's the thing. All that skin and oil and stuff like that can seep into the synthetics, maybe down as well. But I know synthetics is really bad. It'll start to clump and flatten out, and won't re-get that loft to it. And you'll start losing some of your R value or your thermal value. And I mean, like you said, that's going to lead to being thrown out.
And in
And we,
general, I mean, we always follow Les Stroud's advice of you sweat, you die.
We don't mention his name.
Oh, listen, tonight I'm here, and tonight I will say Les Stroud says, you sweat, you die. But the thing is that applies to every situation. I mean, if you're equipped to the point where you're sweating, be it too hot or too cold, whatever, wherever you're at, if you're sweating, you're not wearing the right layer. So get rid of one or whatever. Like sleeping or hiking or camping or whatever, wherever you're at, if you're sweating, you're doing something wrong. Kind of like
Yeah.
lose a layer because you're gonna pay for it later. So.
And it's not just him. Most people that go in the woods will tell
I
you
know.
layering.
Well,
is the-
I'm sitting here. I'm wearing the minimum I can really get away with, and I'm
Ben
sweating.
doesn't have
So-
pants on.
I do, but-
Gonna have to scroll it up so we see your head there better or what. But no, there's a lot of truth to that. Layering is a good, successful way to keep yourself from sweating. And if you can keep from sweating, it's going to keep you cleaner in the long run. Bottom line, everything we've said here tonight is sweating, grime, and stuff like that will get in your skin. It creates like a really... Have you ever heard somebody say, oh, I was so dirty there was a film on my skin? Well, that's literally true. That's a legit thing, and if you build that film in your skin, it stops, like it blocks your... let me back up. Your skin is naturally porous. And that's so you can sweat, so, you know, you can regulate your temperature and stuff like that. And if you get that film of dirt and grease and oils over your body, it's going to be harder to regulate your body temperature. It's going to make you itch. And it's going to lead to you just generally being uncomfortable. And in extreme instances, it's going to lead to potentially some skin problems, be it a rash, a fungal infection, or just anything, honestly. And
Yeast, that's a big one. You want to keep clean is the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got a lot of things. Like I say, that excess moisture and the minerals and stuff that are coming out of your skin, it does attract your yeasts, your bacterias and stuff. And the salts and stuff alone, the grime that you can feel. I remember feeling on my neck on a hard day's work. At the end of the day, you literally rub it off your skin. You feel it's like a black salt. Well, it is a salt, and it is, when it dries, it is sharp, basically, and it causes all these microabrasions in your skin, and that's why it increases the chafing and cutting and the soreness, and that's how you end up in a pretty sore way the next day. So
That's
keeping
what
clean,
opens your skin to now the bacteria and fungals and what have you are now in those open sores from you itching that hard material, and now it's in your skin.
100%, and it cascades, right?
Yeah,
it just gets
100%.
worse and worse until you get clean and can heal. And it can take, if you let it go too far, it could take days, if not
What's the saying?
serious
here?
effects.
Ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Yeah,
Anyway, something like that.
and that's a great example. So
But,
so, I mean, we talked a bit about oral hygiene. We talked quite a bit about skin. We mentioned our, hair. We've got quite in detail with, keeping personally clean in your most sensitive and more private areas, I guess. I think we've covered it. We covered feet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of glanced over it, so you mentioned it, but oral hygiene is still important in the woods. I know we mentioned just the little toothpaste things there, but a lot of people I've gone with, not you, Ben, but other people I've gone with have just been like, it's only 3-4 days in the woods. I don't need no toothbrush.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. An ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. It keeps your mouth clean, yeah. It stops plaque from building up. And if you do happen to cut your mouth or something like that, being able to clean it properly is going to help that heal and not fester into something else. And like Gary just said, and Melissa was hitting that.
I was like, I always take floss. And that's what Gary jumped in to say too. 100%, I do not leave without floss. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I have a little toothpick too on my knife. I use that thing often.
Yeah, that thing is sweet.
I have one on my survival tool. Yeah, I have one too.
Something that I have used, and I don't know if anyone would recommend it or agree with me, but spruce gum. Just something to chew and help get a lot of the dirt and stuff off your teeth. It does help. I mean, it's not a brushing. Don't get me wrong. It's not a replacement, but it's an enhancement or a stopgap until you do get the proper time. to do it. But yeah, keeping yourself clean, because if you with any of these things, once you get to the point where it becomes a problem, it's not going to get better on its own. Now you're going to have to take those extra precautions, those extra steps, which you don't have available necessarily. You don't have a fully functional, and if you don't have the knowledge, a fully functional pharmacy. I guess if you know everything about every plant, then chances are you wouldn't have gotten yourself in that situation to begin with. But
Gary says that you tried to get his daughter to try spruce gum. Apparently, she didn't bite.
no,
Spruce gum's an acquired taste. I'm not gonna lie. I can do it. I don't like it.
I told her about it. I didn't think I got her one. She didn't seem to like the idea. Uh,
What was I gonna say?
I find it a great palate cleanser. That's part of the conversation me and Gary had because we were camping the other weekend. Well, camping is at my cabin. We were
Still
glamping
works.
the other week. But no, if as anyone has ever tried it, if you choose Spruce Gum and then eat something after, you really get the full flavor. You really do get to really taste it. It seems to clean all the other tastes out of your mouth and give you a nice fresh start. So that's my little helpful hint for gourmet cooking in the woods. There, good palate cleanser.
I guess the only thing I want to tack onto this, Ben,
Yeah.
is a soap substitute. If you find yourself in the woods, you, for whatever reason, forgot your soap, forgot your toothpaste, stuff like that, there is something, hopefully, if you have a fire, that you can use that will give you some basic cleanliness hygiene, I guess. But you got to be careful with it as well. It's ground charcoal. If you powder
Yep.
charcoal, you can use that to kind of clean yourself. It's going to be better than nothing, and it's going to be better than just water alone. But it has to be powdered. You don't want the big chunky stuff getting in there, potentially cutting yourself, as well as you can use it as a toothpaste. And you can fashion a toothbrush, and I give strong finger quotes here of toothbrush, out of a twig. Any
Yeah.
kind of soft type wood. Basically, you peel the bark off, chew it until it's fibrous, and roll it in some powdered charcoal, and then chew on it. And it's going to get you a basic tooth cleaning. Does not taste pleasant. I have tried this. It's not overly pleasant, but it will get you clean. It does have some slight antibacterial. It's less antibacterial, more like it just nullifies stuff, if that makes any kind of
Yeah.
sense. That's why charcoal filters get rid of flavor or tastes and smells and stuff like that. It kind of nullifies stuff more than antibacterial. But yeah, if you powder that, it is going to be a basic cleaning agent. I mean, charcoal is one of the key ingredients to making soap. It's lime and charcoal or something like that, isn't it, Ben? You would know a little bit more than I would.
Animal fat.
Yeah, animal fat, lye, and charcoal, I think. Anyway, um, it will get you basically clean in a pinch. I don't recommend it as a substitute for something even as simple as the baby wipes we talked about right at the start. That is ultimately going to be your best idea over charcoal. And then your soaps and stuff and blah, 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 blah. But in a pinch, it will do. Now, what won't work in a pinch, believe it or not, is hand sanitizer over your whole body. Sounds good in theory, does not work out in principle. It's good for your hands, disinfecting and things like that, but if you put it over your whole body, you could potentially cause more problems because it will dry stuff out because it's full of alcohol generally.
It's
I just don't know why you would bathe in hand sanitizer.
Because there's always that thought process that, like, oh, hey, all I have is hand sanitizer. It's got to be better than nothing. Now you
listen.
better
You
off
haven't
not
camped
doing
with
it.
Jeremy.
I will say I do. We actually had this conversation, I think, in bed last night, which is super random. But I do always take a thing of Purell with me when I go out in the woods. He doesn't. I do. Whatever. But I always want to use it before I eat. I just feel like whatever is on my hands needs to not be there when I'm eating, regardless of like how much I've washed with soap flakes or whatever. So that's like a totally me thing. But it's an option. Like you could take a tiny little thingamajiggy.
I always have hand sanitizer with me. I just don't tell you about
Well, I mean, we fight over these things, but
it. My stuff is my stuff.
true. We have backpacks that are like they might have the same thing, but like we're not going to tell each other that it's in there. So whatever. Yeah,
Hey, Purell is a very personal item.
that's true.
I don't want you using all my hand sanitizer.
That it is great for killing germs. That's exactly what it does. It doesn't actually remove a lot of other chemical contaminants and stuff. So just be aware of that. Like it has its function. It doesn't get you clean. It doesn't remove dirt for the most part. It kills the germs. It's its sole purpose. Um, I've seen people come out of a washroom and just say, "Oh, I used hand sanitizer."
Yeah.
You still just wiped. Like you still potentially have dirt on your hand. You just tried to kill the germs on that dirt. Like that's what you literally did. You just
Yeah.
smeared dirt more on your hands and killed the germs on it. Some of them. So it's a function of a good hygiene system. It definitely enhances it. It's not a replacement, and it's a great. If it's all you got, it's a hell of a lot better than nothing, right?
I
I'll say
liken. Oh,
I'll say that only because this is a super hot topic for me right now because I run daycare during COVID.
Yeah,
So there's a very clear difference between cleaning and sanitizing, and
yeah,
most like I'm gonna clean this requires two steps. There's cleaning and then there's sanitizing. You have to do both, or you don't get the full effect. And a lot of people,
yeah,
like you said, Ben, forget that there's two steps. Like, I can sanitize my hands, but that doesn't mean they're clean. Same as I can clean my hands, but that doesn't mean they're sanitized. So it is very much a two-step process. And a lot of people forget that. Even wiping down the kitchen counter, it's a two-step process. You have to clean it first, and then you sanitize it. So out in the woods, it's the same thing with your hands. It's the same thing with your water bottle or whatever you're using that you don't want to have an infection on or what have you. It's a two-step situation. Yeah, for sure. Sorry, but I mean, like I'm saying,
no, no, dude,
it's
you're
it's
something we're
100%
100%
dealing
true.
correct. I
we're
agree.
dealing with it right now in COVID times. Like it's being beat into our heads basically as if you run any kind of business that's open, like you have to be following both steps.
Yeah,
There's two.
yeah, and it's a thing that a lot of people don't understand the difference
It's
of,
true.
and it's real. I mean, you can't, it's you can't do half a job on some things, but sometimes if it's all you have, like if you're in the woods and it's all you got, you don't have a lot of clean water, you don't have a lot of these wipes or whatever, then it's better than nothing in that situation. If you can do both, then you're set. You're clean. You're clean and sanitized. You can pick up that sandwich and eat it without too much concern.
Really took all the fun out of it.
Exactly. Or you can get in your sleeping bag, or you can, yeah, totally.
No, it's a good point. I mean, it's 100% legit. I can't follow that up. She's covered everything I was gonna say.
Sorry, I'm the showstopper.
No, but it's a good point, and I mean it's 100%
She can
accurate.
She's going to replace both of us next week, buddy.
Yeah, I was about to say we don't even need to be here, Ben. We'll just let her run the show.
Mel show. It's the Mel show.
Well, I mean the Mel and Mel, 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 and
Mel and
Mel. We
Mel.
have to find a third one, and we're gonna bugger off to the woods.
Mel, Mel, Mel.
But yeah,
Mel Q.
I'm trying to think. I think we kind of covered all the things under that. We
That's
covered a lot of good
that's how I
topics.
tried
Honestly.
listing everything earlier. I think we've covered, the majority of it. I mean, everyone has different processes. I have some concerns about chewing on sticks. Not that I don't, because I probably do chew on sticks more often than I should. But do be aware that you could potentially drive a splinter in behind your gums and create a whole new issue. So be awful careful with what you're doing.
I mean, I guess you could use your finger. I have seen that. Like people lick their finger, dump it in the charcoal, and then rub their teeth. It's still going to be better than nothing.
Well, I've tried using like just rub your finger. It can loosen a little bit of the soft plaquish like stuff on your teeth that develops during the day. It's better. Again, something that's better than nothing, but not as good as a proper job. Um, Toothpick doesn't clean your teeth perfectly, but it does get rid of the dirt between your teeth. That you can feel and you can potentially see. So that's a large piece gone. That doesn't mean your teeth are clean. They're just cleaner than they were.
It's still
Uh,
better than not doing anything. And that's the thing. Everything in the woods is prevention. The more you can do to prevent, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
and that comes down to in the off seasons, you watch a lot of the survival shows. A lot of them end up jumping in the river in pretty frigid conditions to get clean because they know they need to be clean, and they know it's going to suck when they jump in that cold water and rinse off and get the sweat and stuff stank off of them. But it is a necessary evil sometimes.
And I've been in that situation where I've been in a logging camp, something like that, and you're like on day 14 of no running water, and you get to that point where you're just like, you know what? Free like 5 minutes of being really cold is going to be worth being clean.
Yeah. I've been dirty enough for the whole idea of getting into your sleeping bag would just disgust you. Like, no way
Yeah.
can I climb in there like this. And I'm only in there with myself at that point. So, yeah, I've seen that. I've been there more with the military. I remember a 5-day training act. So you're working hard. Maybe not quite as hard as you guys firefighting, but it's up there, right? After 4 or 5 days, you're pretty rank, pretty sweaty, and we were digging and climbing and crawling and you know in every state.
Which
It's
fire was it? I'm trying to think. I can't remember. Um, One of the fires I was on, I didn't bother coming home. I slept in the back of my truck in a sleeping bag, and after 3 days, I threw the sleeping bag out. No, I did. I was just like, no, that's not coming home with me. That's done. That's going to the dumpster. That thing is disgusting. And it was a new sleeping bag, which is the worst part.
yeah,
But yeah, it ain't hard. Getting dirty and being dirty in the woods leads to some real uncomfortable times.
yeah, no, for sure. It is important. It's easy to overlook. It's easy to um, think that it's okay. It's only one day or whatever. But if that one day becomes 2 days and then 3 days, then you're really going to regret it. And honestly, in especially weather like we have right now, it happens quicker. In cooler weather, you might get away with an extra day or two. You don't sweat as much. You have more clothes on. You tend to be a little bit cleaner. But even then, it's only a matter of time. The sweat, the dirt, the grime builds up and adds and takes those risks up every
I want
day.
one of those. Yeah, no, 100%. And Gary made the point here of saying dip before bed whenever possible during warmer months. Apparently, you sleep way better. Like I said, I don't always dip per se, but I always wash before bed in the warmer months to get that sweat and grime off. And we mentioned that earlier. And I tend to agree. You sleep better when you feel cleaner.
Oh yeah. If I had a lake here now, I'd be in it right now.
I can actually see the sweat starting to come down, bud. You are getting warm.
It's warm. I'm
It was letting
that's it.
air in when that was
Great.
supposed
I'm
to.
going to the cabin tomorrow. That's it. I'm done.
What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday, so
Yeah.
I guess that's it for tonight's show. We've run up our hour. We've kind of hit on everything we wanted to on hygiene. Is there anything you want to throw in here, Ben? Just as final thoughts.
No, I think we beat this horse pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean that sucker's done and almost a paste at this point. But once again, all good information, and it's an important subject. Lots of hate the word newbies, but new people to bushcrafting, camping, outdoorsing, whatever you want, really do overlook the importance of hygiene. And hygiene just isn't, keeping your butt clean and your nose.
Extra toilet paper.
Yeah, packing extra toilet paper. That's not necessarily hygiene. Hygiene goes from head
No,
to
that
toe.
definitely is hygiene.
Well,
She
it's
is.
part of hygiene, but it's not
I mean,
everything.
and that's where wipes come in for me also. Like after, if I have wipes, that's definitely, especially if I know I can't get a shower every night, I definitely want to make sure that I'm extra clean down there. So it's no, it's a great thing. Toilet paper, don't forget it.
Yep.
Uh, and if
Especially
you,
if you run out of toilet paper and you're using other methods, you're really gonna love those wipes.
yeah,
Just saying. But yeah, hygiene is head to toe. There are the important parts which everybody thinks of, but then there's a lot of stuff that people don't think of that lead to problems, and we covered them all. So,
and
do you got any final
I think
thoughts there, worker? Making faces in the corner.
No.
The only thing I can add really is hygiene is a personal thing, and you have to know your own personal self. And it's down to we didn't talk about nail clipping. Come think, but a few other things. Just it know your body, know what it's capable of, know what it needs, and make sure that you've prepared for it. So if you're prone to infections, make sure you have things to deal with that, and make sure you do keep those areas extra clean. Um, Stuff like that. Like just do take your own self into account and prepare well.
No,
That
100%
makes
agree, and Melissa agrees with you too. She's over there nodding and smiling. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the perfect message. I mean, the only thing that I pack that's like personal to me is I always take an ace bandage because I will sprain my ankle. So it's 100% the same thing for hygiene. Like if you know you're prone to infections, just take your fungal cream. You're gonna want it, and if you don't, that's great. And if you do, you're gonna be super glad you have it. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Think about what you are. Yeah, I think we
Horse
got
is
this
dead
covered.
and dead.
Hygiene, toilet paper. We're done. Yes.
Hey, clean. Keep
Woo!
yourself clean out there, damn it.
Wash
Clean
it.
good, dirty bad. But yeah, and I mean ultimately that's the takeaway. Clean good, dirty bad.
Do it.
Realize
Clean
you
it.
get dirty.
It's worth it.
100%.
So are we going camping before? Nope, we'll be here for next show. Cool.
Yeah, we're going camping.
We'll talk about that next time.
After next weekend. Woo-hoo. Next week, yeah.
So after next Wednesday's show, that's when we're going out on our adventure. So maybe next week we'll talk about that a little bit.
With our brand new Teton double mammoth Fahrenheit 0 sleeping bag, which I'm super excited about.
Ben's
The
seen
family
it. He
size
thinks it's
sleeping
huge.
bag. I've seen pictures of it.
So
Like,
excited.
Thing's massive.
It's so big. It's so comfy. It's so lush. It's so soft.
I have
It's
no
so
idea how I'm
warm.
gonna get it back in the
It's gonna
bag.
be way too hot, but I don't even care. Don't sweat. We'll just unzip it. I'm so excited.
I don't know what I'm gonna
we
do
have
with
to
it
get your
after we're
winter
done.
camping.
Yeah. Oh, I'm ready for winter camping now. Yeah. 100%. Let's go.
Birch bark. Troy, if you use birch bark, bud, after 2 or 3 times with that, you'll go get yourself some baby wipes.
I think I'd use moss before I'd use birch bark.
I was gonna say I've used moss.
Anything.
I've used the leaves. In desperation, I've even used fir boughs softened up.
Handfuls of grass. Let's be honest.
I was gonna say birch bark is getting right to the end of my rope. I think.
I've seen people use pockets.
Socks.
Sleeves.
Sleeves.
That was always
Yeah,
the
my
thing.
father
on the
came
fire
home with a
cruise.
sleeve missing off his shirt one time. What happened? Said I had to go.
Yeah, that was the famous thing for fire crews. Your crew would divide up and go do the fire, and when you all came back, there'd be like sleeves missing, or you'd just be like, oh, okay, you obviously didn't bring toilet paper today. Yeah, but anyway, that's it for me. Like I said, it was a good show. I think this is an important show. Hopefully, everybody got some information about it. I know a lot of it sounds like common sense, but it's only common sense if you think about it. And unfortunately, if you're in the woods and realize you need it, it's too late. So I mean, what if you're like a 3-hour hike in and then a day drive away? You're not going to run back.
It's so simple, it's easy to forget is the problem, I think. But yeah, like, you pack like when you're going to a hotel and you need to bring like things with you. Well, when you're going to the woods, you need to bring things with you. So just, it's the same, but different.
I just tried to throw that into my pack and it missed it.
It's gone, never to be seen again.
And maybe I don't have toothbrushes on my trip this weekend. I mean, yeah, of course.
You're going to be looking at that stick going, man, okay.
I will say there is like a full-on dentist study that if you have to finger brush with toothpaste, it's better than brushing without toothpaste. So if you're going to have to pack either toothpaste or a toothbrush, go with toothpaste and finger brush, or make yourself a little wood brush. That is recommended by the Dental Association, if you should like to know that.
Okay, well, I learned something today. I feel like I was threatened a little bit.
I know. They're really steady about their answer if you want to ask them. Yeah.
Did you hear that the Dental Association did a thing and flossing doesn't prevent cavities.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when we were at the dentist last time, they were saying that flossing is basically an optional thing now, except they highly recommend it.
Yeah. Oh, my hygienist tells me I need to floss more every time I go there. But it was funny because I think it was 6 months or 9 months ago. I read the study, and it's like basically there was no correlation between flossing and prevention of cavities or issues. So
I think the
they,
big one, it helps is gum disease, isn't it?
I don't even know.
I don't know either. I'm just.
It gets like stuff out of your teeth, which is really
Yeah.
important. That's
Yeah.
what I like. You have to have floss for that. If you have something stuck in there, that's no fun. You could it could get worse.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
No, I know. That's
honestly,
why I have the toothpick.
like emergency reason is you need floss to get stuff out of your teeth because it'll like
I've used
burrow
pieces
in
of
there.
plastic,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
a thread that I found somewhere.
Yeah, you get desperate. And actually, that happened once to us, and Robert only had thread, and it got stuck. And then the
Yeah.
thread, like, compounded the entire issue. It was like a whole night of, like, major tooth trauma. So
Yeah.
it's not, like, you need to pack floss. Like, regardless for the whether or not it protects you from anything, it's just, it's an emergency device more than anything if you get something
Well,
stuck in
and
your teeth.
dental floss is stronger than thread.
That too.
So if you have to sew a button or something on with dental floss, you're better off than thread. So if you had to choose between the two of those, I would recommend a dental floss.
I
There
can
you
tell
go.
you it makes good stitching.
Yeah.
Robert's gonna show off his scars.
No,
now.
I was just looking at it. It's like, I don't think you can see it anymore. Oh, yeah, you still can.
Yeah, you can.
But it's,
Anytime you cut yourself up, buddy, I'll stitch you.
well, funny enough, I had to. That's what we're sitting here looking at. You can see it in certain light. Anyway, I got a slice on my wrist about here. And that's what it was done. I self-stitched it up with some same kind of deal. What flavors? That mint. Non-mint, so non-flavored dental floss.
Make sure it doesn't have mint for the stitches.
It doesn't
again.
taste as good with it, man.
Well, no, but I think the mint can lead to irritation.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I've never given
Different
myself
story.
stitches. We're just gonna start there. So I don't know.
I have twice.
That's crazy.
I don't like it.
I can bandage you up and get you out of the woods. We'll get stitches when we get to the hospital. We're not gonna do that in the woods. No, it's fine.
Yeah, and like Gary said, you can use floss for repairs too, and I think you mentioned that as well
yeah,
earlier on.
it's good for like a string intermediate
Yeah.
tension. Mm-hmm.
No, it's definitely it's fairly strong. It's great thing to have a little bit of dental floss in your kit for many a reason. Anyways, yeah, I guess we can sign off.
Yep.
We can keep talking after if you want.
Yeah, we can ramble for ages. So let's cut the video, and then we can keep rambling after the fact.
Yeah. Subject his viewers to enough
See you
tonight.
next week for more ramble.
Yeah, I was about to say, everybody just signed off about 10 minutes ago, so... I guess that's it for us tonight. We'll see you next week with something else.
Good night.
I have an idea. Yeah.
Perfect. Have a good night, everybody. There we are.
Right.